All right, welcome everybody to the first official Puncast.
Okay, we're sticking with Puncast.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Okay, yeah, because we've done this like
Unofficially,
like 5 or 6 times. It had to be, and each time we were kind of fucked up. So
that was the good part. That was the part I liked.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. But the fact of the matter is because we were so fucked up, I've honestly just kind of forgot about it, or I'd listened to it, and it's not as good as it was when we were fucked up. So there's that. But yeah, we're just gonna talk about just kind of shoot the shit, talk about some movies and whatnot. First off, sorry about that.
Peanut butter today?
I was just gonna say, how you doing today, man?
Oh man, I am out of shape. I replaced the toilet seat today, and I broke a sweat. That was not enjoyable.
Honestly, I'm really out of shape too. Yesterday, I went up to the park up in town there, and we played some basketball. And literally 10 seconds in, I was winded. Just from dribbling the ball and shooting for about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Or playing, I think it was when I was playing one-on-one, yes. Decided to play some one-on-one. And I'm like, man, I need to, jog or something. It was fucking terrible. But anyways.
To the point where I don't even want to play anymore.
Play what?
Anything. Just
sports?
Just playing takes too much energy. Let's not play. Let's just sit.
Right. That's kind of what my life has been. Just a bunch of sitting.
Yeah. That's what happens when you smoke weed.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so if you guys haven't heard, there's a big blockbuster movie that came out this past weekend.
What?
It was called what was it called?
Rise of the Guardians?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
No.
Legend of the Guardians.
Oh, the Owls of Ga'Hoole?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a blockbuster.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's blockbuster. His biggest movie ever, I think.
No, but in all seriousness, we're talking about, of course, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the frickin' Galaxy.
And we were both impressed, but one of us I was probably a little more impressed than the other. Cole here said he loved it.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't see it together. We saw it separately. I actually saw it twice.
Did you see it in 3D?
No, did you?
Oh, no.
No, I saw it twice, though.
Already?
Yeah.
Damn. Did you go by yourself?
Yeah, I just went by myself the second time because
when?
It was I think Sunday. No, Saturday. It was Saturday.
All right.
No, it was Friday. That's what it was.
Okay.
Is that the night you went?
No, I went Saturday night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I went with a few friends on Thursday night. Then the night before it officially opened, and I was stoned, but I was. For some reason, it was just nagging at me after I left that, I should have enjoyed this a lot more than I did. I mean, I had a good time watching it, and I do think it's a good movie, but I'm just and it was nagging at me. I had to go see it again the next day, so I went and saw it again, and honestly, not much changed. Yeah. So
you were underwhelmed?
I think my expectations were too high, so... Okay. Relative to my expectations, yes, I would say I was underwhelmed. But I don't think the movie was underwhelming as a whole.
I try to keep my expectations low for anything I see nowadays.
Yeah. This might go to show how much I like the Marvel movies. And I'm speaking for you here, but I would think that you are a big fan of most of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy them, but I just, part of me wishes they were better.
Yeah. Do you not like their tone and their use of comedy, or what?
I honestly think that, and we'll get to this later when we talk about the movie, that it gets a little monotonous with the Infinity Stone, Infinity Gem thing. I don't think this is any big spoilers or anything. If you don't want to learn about what, Avengers 3 is probably going to be about, then just don't listen. But I would imagine...
Let's just call for spoilers right now.
Yeah. Just
from here on out.
Yeah. But the whole Infinity Stone thing makes a lot of the movies to me a little monotonous because the plot to a lot of the movies is there's this one big powerful thing that the villains are trying to get, and the heroes are just trying to stop them from getting it or take it away from them,
Captain America, the Avengers,
Thor,
the Dark World, and now this one.
Yes.
Guardians.
That's where all the Infinity Stones come in. And even Avengers to a sort. Yeah.
Yeah, Avengers. There was the Tesseract. That was one of them.
And so I just feel like these plots, they're just a little too similar for me to, like... I think the only ones that really don't do that are the Iron Man movies. And to tell you how much I like this movie, I think I only like this movie. Of all the Marvel movies, I only like Avengers and the first Iron Man more than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
That'd probably be my third. So
that's
that might. But being as I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought it would. That might say something of how I feel about the other Marvel movies. We'll get to that later, though.
But I for one loved it. I thought the comedy in it was spot on. It wasn't too silly and wacky like I thought the second Thor got. The characters were all very likable, and they all had their own moments to shine.
Yeah, the thing about me is, I thought the first time I saw it, I thought the comedy was good, but the second time I saw it, I didn't laugh as much, just because I feel like, while I did think that it was very great for the tone, and it was all very funny and humorous, and all the jokes were humorous in their own ways, just not all of them were laugh out loud for me the second time.
No.
But I think it relied a lot on, pop culture references, and the whole just doing silly things in really serious situations was another, consistent joke that they would do. Not that any of those were bad, it's just that, I don't know. For me, the second time through, it just didn't hit me as well as the first time. There was a few jokes that were just as hilarious the first time, though, and we'll get that into spoiler territories as well.
I've heard the complaint on pop culture references, which I think, how can there be too much when the only single character who's able to make pop culture references is Star-Lord?
Yeah, that's the reason.
He's the only one.
Thing is, I'm okay with those puns, or not the puns,
yeah.
those references from that character, because it makes him more. It characterizes him more as he's the guy from Earth. He knows what we know about, but none of these guys do, which is pretty funny sometimes.
What year was he abducted? You remember?
It was in the 80s.
Okay.
I don't remember.
He brings up
year.
John Stamos' name. When did John Stamos become famous? I just thought of that. What does he as a child from the 80s know about John Stamos?
That's true. I never thought about that.
As being what do you call him, an outlaw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, I'm not so sure about. I didn't even notice that. I guess we're still talking spoilers here. If you haven't seen the movie, I just wouldn't listen. I'm sure a majority of the people now have. It's a big hit, so.
By the way, I love the ending where they all held hands with the Infinity Gem and destroyed the villain. That was pretty cool.
That was so lame.
Spoilers!
That was so lame, dude. When I watched that, I'm like, oh man, they might as well just be defeating the villain with the power of love or something right now.
Isn't really why love, though.
Why
do you compare it to love?
Just in, the cheese factor of it. The more of it was the power of, friendship or companionship or working together.
Yeah, I feel like
Which is
it was
more
about
fitting.
using more... I think it was about throwing more bodies into it to contain the power. I don't think you needed the whole friendship.
I know, but,
hands.
symbolically, that's what it is.
Yeah, maybe.
As a team, they finished off the villain. He couldn't have done it by himself. That's
exactly.
That's what it is.
Sure.
What were we talking about before that?
Before the...
Oh yeah, there was some of the references in there. He references, fucking Ninja Turtles. Footloose, that joke was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And...
We're just like Kevin Bacon. Come on.
that was another one. I chuckled a little bit. I'm in time, I don't think I'd find this as funny. Like I said, I feel like all those jokes are fitting for the character, but I just don't think they were all that funny.
Who was your favorite character?
Groot.
Yeah?
I loved Groot.
He was so adorable.
He was so there's a bar fighting scene, or a bar scene where they're all gambling on these
some kind of weird alien cockfight.
Yeah.
Plus gambling.
And one of these bigger aliens eats one of the smaller ones, and the look on Groot's face is of utter shock and sadness for the little. He's so awesome. His jokes are always funny, and I especially liked his equivalent to Hulk smashing Loki when he impales all those guys and just
they get stuck on his limb goes through 7 guys. They're all stuck on him. He's slashing it about, can't get them off.
Just screaming. And then
finally gets them out.
And then he just turns back to the other guys and smiles.
Oh, a perfectly adorable smile.
It was so great.
I didn't think I would like Drax as much as I did.
Yeah.
He was funnier than I thought he would be.
Yeah, like, there was a few jokes. I mean, I don't want to give away all the gags, but I mean, what's the point? Who cares?
I liked in the shower scene where he takes that. He's like, "I like your knife. I'm keeping it." That was my favorite knife.
I think my favorite gag with Drax was the throat cutting one.
Yeah.
Where he's like, so you can, you know, and puts his finger to his throat, and he's like, why would I put my finger to his throat?
I like when he tries to use the metaphor.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, but the whole, I think that's what puts it above and beyond the other Marvel movies, is just how consistently entertaining it was. They handled the exposition well enough that, I mean, it's got to be there because it's...
There was some chunky exposition when they introduced Nebula and Gamora.
Yeah,
that was
right?
all. But you had to do that because
Yeah,
it was a space adventure and you had to get that stuff out of the way to get to the cool, flashy, awesome stuff.
And yeah, the effects were amazing.
Dude, last two Marvel movies have been having these epic, climactic battles in broad daylight. This is the brightest battle I've ever seen.
Right?
That planet, Xandar, there was zero shadows on that planet. It's like they had suns in every direction.
You could tell that they wanted to show off this really epic fight, and it looked great.
I loved when those ships got together and it was a big net. Like,
Yeah, that's pretty
cool.
That was really creative.
That's a
yeah.
good
I
idea.
don't know. I don't read the books, so I don't know if that was in the books at all, but that was really cool.
No, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Do you recognize that guy from Shaun of the Dead?
Who?
The English, one of the Nova Corps. He's English. He was the one talking to Rocket when they were in the ships.
Yeah.
His death was like the one that hit me the most.
Really?
Yeah, because he's in the ship, Ronin's ship's breaking through that barricade they've made up, and it's not holding, and you know it's not going to hold, and it's just click, it's so slow, his ship is being crushed.
Because his ship is massive.
Yeah, and it's just these little, ping pong balls trying to stop it. But eventually he breaks through, and it just, I don't know, just, I felt for him, I don't know why, just, did you feel like there was a lot of deleted scenes in this?
I never really thought about that.
I feel like they probably took out a lot of stuff. Specifically, this situation when Rocket, and I guess that guy's name was Saul.
Who?
Have the guy who died.
Oh, okay.
Peter fucking whatever it is name. I don't know.
Peter Fonda.
Peter Fonda was in the movie. I think there was character development between him and Rocket where they had a prolonged...
right, because they kind of dwelled on that a bit. Like, it seemed they only showed Rocket's reaction to this guy dying. So.
Hold on, Saul! I didn't know the guy's name before you said that.
Right? For those who don't know, this is the guy who, in the trailer, after they introduced the Guardians, he says, "What a bunch of a-holes," in that British accent. That's who we're talking about.
Right. I don't know why. I think it was because it seemed so inevitable, but I wanted him to survive, and then he didn't.
You felt more for that than Groot towards the end?
Groot didn't die. Oh, I guess Groot did die. I knew Groot wasn't dead, though.
I know, but that was still a really sad moment. The way that Rocket just was like, "You're gonna die."
That was more. It wasn't about his death. It was about Rocket's reaction to it.
Yeah, that was a really touching scene.
I liked Rocket.
I think Bradley Cooper was a little too over the top. Like, pretty much, there's like probably maybe like 4 or 5 lines of Bradley Cooper's in this movie where he's not shouting. But I think he thought he did a well enough job that I enjoyed his character. So
I loved his breakdown in the bar.
Yeah, that was
heart-wrenching, I guess.
It almost makes me wish that there were more scenes like that in the movie, because one of my gripes with it is that most of the characters are pretty shallow. Just because you have this big team, you can't like go into depth with all of them. Mm-hmm. But even with like Quill, I mean Star-Lord, he is the most well-developed character because obviously he's the leader of the group, so he gets the most attention.
He gets the most backstory, definitely.
But I just feel like there's really not a whole lot of depth to these characters, and I think a few more like emotional, maybe like just one of the things that I've realized is it's easy to compare this to Star Wars because it has a very similar feel to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's impossible to live up to Star Wars, but it's easy to compare.
This comes close. Honestly, this comes close.
See, for me, one of the reasons why I think Star Wars is a superior movie is because they get that character development as they're going from place to place on the ship. They just have scenes of them talking on the ship, which is great, development between, they have interactions and they show their personality more. But on this, it was just, we need to go here. We're here. The next cut was they show the place that they're at. And I just think a few scenes like that could have benefited the characters.
There was a couple. I mean, Gamora had something like that. But no, nothing like that for Drax. Nothing like that for Groot, definitely.
And yeah, the only thing you get from Rocket is they show his back, which shows that he's just like this like put together man-made creature. And then that one scene in the bar
where he talks about that. That was good. Like he made a good point. Like they're calling me a monster. Mm-hmm. She called me rodent. He called me vermin. And he starts crying. Mm-hmm. It's like, don't be a bitch, but he makes some good points.
And I'm okay with that scene being that short, because it makes sense that his character, he was drunk, so the only time he would ever open up like that is when he was drunk. He's a really, like Han Solo, I'm a badass character.
He is Han Solo.
Yeah, and Groot's Chewbacca. That's just, and the way that they talk to each other is the exact same too. It's definitely not a ripoff, more of an homage, I would say. Mm-hmm. That's probably just how those characters were. I don't know, were the Guardians of the Galaxy created before Star Wars?
I have no idea.
Huh. That's something to look into.
Maybe not.
Who cares? They're similar.
Yeah. Either way,
similar but very different.
Yeah, either way, this team is a newer incarnation of the team, and they change a lot of the characters. Mm-hmm. Yondu was apparently one of the original Guardians of the Galaxies, but they completely.
In this, he does help them, but he's really only out for himself.
In this, he's the leader of, what are they called, Ravagers?
Yeah.
Just some criminal outlaw gangs. Mm-hmm. Who seem to be stronger than a lot of the other. Like, they could have taken on the Nova Corps themselves, I feel.
One gripe that I did have with one of his scenes, where you could tell it was just movie bullshit, is the scene where he's just surrounded by enemies, and he has this cool little weapon that he whistles, and it's like an arrow that he can control, and it just flies around impaling people. Mm-hmm. And I'm just thinking, in this one scene, he does that. There's probably about maybe 25 soldiers surrounding him, and he just kills them all with this arrow. Yeah. I'm thinking, the second one of those guys sees one of their soldiers get impaled, they're gonna blast the shit out of him.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the times in movies, people are just stunned by other characters' awesomeness, and that gets them killed.
Because, the first time I was stoned, and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome, but the second time when I wasn't, I'm like, why didn't anyone else shoot him?
A bullet would be so much faster than that arrow.
The arrow's flying around, and there's maybe about 5 seconds of it flying around, and that's enough, or maybe even longer.
Maybe felt 10 like seconds. A while.
Maybe 10 seconds.
It was taking some wide turns. I'm like, arrow, you're taking too long.
Yeah, and then another thing that I thought was just movie bullshit was there's a gag where he gives, or Yondu the whole time wants the orb. Yeah. And at the end, Quill says, "Okay, here, take it," and the container has something else in it. It's not the stone, and she's like, "Whatever you do, don't open it because you've seen what it could do to people." And so towards the end of the movie, he opens it up and sees that it isn't the stone, and it's a little troll doll. Yeah. When the fuck did he put that troll doll in there? Did he just have it in there, not expecting to be able to fit the stone in there too?
He's crafty, man. He's got those thieving hands.
But you think they hand out these little canisters that can hold the stone?
What were those made for?
I don't know.
Why did she have so many?
I don't know, but that's besides the point. I mean, if we go into all these little nitpicks, then we could probably go forever. Yeah. It's movie bullshit. As long as the story sucks you in, it's fine. But they hand out these canisters, then they go straight to the action, and then they finally defeat Ronan, and there's no time in between that he could have just slipped a troll doll in there. Yeah. I guess maybe because
I mean that up to the invasion or up to the battle, that was all a montage. That you don't know when and where that was taking place.
That's true, but still, I thought that was the second time I saw it, I'm like, that's kind of stupid. But
you see plot holes, second viewings.
Yeah. But since I mentioned Ronan, we should talk about him a little bit. Lee Pace plays Ronan. He played one of the Elf Kings in the Hobbit series, and he was also in Pushing Daisies.
You ever watch that?
Yeah, it's pretty.
I watched a couple episodes.
I mean, some of it I thought was just but then I thought, I'm like, okay, I can get into this.
Sure.
My girlfriend really likes it, so.
Yeah. It's a little sweet for my taste.
Yeah, it's very quirky. Yeah. But anyways, back to Ronan. Ronan, the what is it? Accuser.
Religious zealot.
He's a Kree
something
alien who's just this race of aliens that.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is he's trying to find the orb which holds the purple Infinity Stone. I don't know which one it is.
I think that's supposed to be power. That's what I've been reading.
That's besides the point right now.
Doesn't matter. It's an Infinity Stone.
So
that's the important part.
Yeah, Ronan is trying to get this for Thanos, and he eventually does get it, but once he realizes what it is, he decides to keep it for himself.
He doesn't feel that Thanos respects him enough.
Yeah.
Then, in the end, he gets shit on by the Guardians.
Right.
So Thanos is right.
Yeah, but I thought that he wasn't a great villain, because much like a lot of the Marvel villains, his motivation is take over the world or be the most powerful.
This was definitely one of the better villains, though. Like,
yeah, I agree. I enjoyed him. I liked him more than Malekith or who else? Or some of the villains in Iron Man, like fucking Mickey Rourke's character.
Jeff Bridges' character.
Yeah, I like Jeff Bridges' character enough, though.
His character was good, but then once he puts on the suit, it's just, you look stupid.
No, yeah, that turned him into a cartoon character.
I love I like the religious angle. I thought that was brave to take on a Disney Marvel movie. Like a super religious zealot who wants to destroy everyone who's not like him.
Is that how it is?
Yeah, that's that whole that thing. He's saying they call me a zealot because I hinge to the old ways of my religion.
Oh, okay.
Blah 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 blah. That's what the accusing comes from. He accuses those who doesn't follow his way, and then kills them.
Okay.
Cleanses them, how he puts it.
Like I've actually am a little familiar with this character from the comics.
Yeah.
And he actually does have some really real motivations that just like he doesn't want to like enslave the world. He just wants to have, I don't know, it's hard to explain.
His own world?
Maybe, yeah, for his species. I'm not really sure how it is. But it's. I remember when I read it. I don't remember exactly what it is. But I remember when I read it, I'm like, oh, that would. And I think that they like briefly touch upon it, like maybe have a few lines of exposition about it at the very beginning, but they don't really talk about it.
No. Once they introduce him, it's just pretty much, we better stop him.
Yeah, because I think in the comics he's not actually like that big of a villain. Like they don't see him as like. They do have to go up against him, but he's not like a real villainous character compared to like Loki or somebody like that. Or Thanos.
How'd you like Thanos in this?
This is pretty cool. He was a little smaller than I was expecting, like thinner.
Yeah, I guess he didn't look as bulky as you would imagine a space god to be.
Yeah, because his face is fucking, like, square in your face.
It was Josh Brolin's head.
Yeah, I didn't even know that Josh Brolin was in this movie until after I saw it. Yeah. I'm like, oh, he was...
Was he in the credits?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did you think it was weird how they just... One moment he's just there in the movie, like...
Yeah, I feel like they could have, his introduction, like, could have been a lot more grander, because he's the big bad guy of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's gonna be the villain in Avengers 3. There's no doubt about it.
It's like it was decidedly a soft sell when they introduced him.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't, like, undersell it, because there was a big, like, the chair turns around and there he is.
They definitely did undersell him, because you saw Ronan was all powerful, but you knew Thanos was even more powerful.
Yeah, and if he gets all the Infinity Stones...
Fuck, yeah.
What I've read about the Infinity Gauntlet is, if you wanted to, you could, like, kill half a race in, like, 1 second.
Yeah. It's like you can shape reality with it.
Exactly.
I loved as Ronan was leaving his, throne meteor. As he's walking away, he just gives that big toothy grin towards Ronan, like, yeah, bitch, I told you, get out. I like Thanos' scene.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I enjoyed seeing him on the big screen.
Mm-hmm. And he's just gonna look better in future movies.
Right.
Better and better.
They didn't have to give him that much attention to like how he looks in this, just because of how small his scene is. But if he's on screen all the time, there's gonna be like hundreds of people just working on him.
Yeah, and he looked good in this.
Yeah, he didn't look bad.
But he's gonna look better and better and better. I can say that for every character, though.
Yeah, I mean, Rocket and Groot looked great. There was not a second where I was like, "Oh, they're CGI." They were. I mean, I knew they were.
They're CGI.
You know they're CGI, but when you're in the zone of the movie, you forget that. That's how you can tell good CGI from bad CGI.
Yeah, they just become people.
Yeah, because if the CGI looks bad enough, it's gonna take you out of the movie a little bit. Like,
cringe.
Yeah, like if some movies that I watched, like from the early 2000s, it's kind of insane to think that Jurassic Park can make the dinosaurs look that real, but in like 2002, Spider-Man kind of looks a little off when he's flying
when
around.
Green Goblin jumps on his glider in the parade.
Yeah,
Yeah, even when you're 10, 12 years old, you look at that, you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah, and even like there's some shit in like the first X-Men movie that's pretty off too, but I'm so glad that it's gotten way better. It's gotten way more consistent.
We are in a new age.
Yeah, we are so fortunate to be in this, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Do you worry that it'll get to a point where we're unable to tell fact from fiction?
I actually read, I don't know if this goes on with that, but I read a cracked article about Planet of the Apes, the new Planet of the Apes, that how this movie is the beginning of actors becoming obsolete. I don't think that'll ever happen, but it's just definitely food for thought. The way that those apes looked, how realistic they looked, that's some of the best CGI I've ever seen.
But if you ask like Andy Serkis, he would say a lot of that is the actor's performance. Is that you're taking the performance and just putting a mask on top of it.
I shouldn't say actors. I should say real people on screen.
Yeah, I would still. You still need humans though. Why else would you? You're just gonna CGI humans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because because I think it said in this article that in the Planet of the Apes movie, not all of like everything, all the facial features were the performance. Mm-hmm. They went in there and tweaked it at the right moments to get the optimal performance, Right. And that's what they said. If they can do that with the apes, why can't they just do that with humans? And then they could get the perfect performance every time. And it's a very, it's just something to think about. I don't think it'll ever happen, but
yeah. Perfect performance though. It's too subjective to leave up to just some animator.
That's true. I'm saying like the actors, the performances will be there, but in order to like make it, swing it more emotion towards this, more anger, just go in there and touch it up a little bit.
You're so weird. If you're an actor, you watch yourself on screen, and you're like, I did not smile that widely. My eyebrows can't even go that high. What the hell?
Oh, yeah, I don't think it'll ever get to that point. But back to Guardians of the Galaxy. Did you catch any of the cameos in it? Did you catch Lloyd Kaufman in there?
I don't know what Lloyd Kaufman looks like.
You don't?
No.
You know who he is, though, right?
I know. No, probably not.
You don't know who Lloyd Kaufman is?
I've never watched one of his anything.
He's one of the founders of Troma Films. Do you know about Troma?
No.
They were, like, in the 80s, a big, like, exploitation production company, and James Gunn actually started with them.
Tromeo and Juliet? Or
yes.
Whatever. Okay.
And Toxic Avenger, and a bunch of other stuff like that.
All right, so those are all made by this guy's company.
Yes, Lloyd Kaufman's company, Troma.
What's he look like, then?
He's older. He's probably in his, like, 70s. I'd have to show you a picture of him. It's hard to really... But, I mean, there's some other cameos in here that...
I mean, Stan Lee's was obvious.
Yeah. I think Nathan Fillion was in there somewhere.
He was, the blue... When they're in the prison, the blue guy that goes up to Peter Quill says, you're mine now.
Oh.
Then Groot puts his fingers in his nose.
Oh,
right. Rockets like this one's here are moving.
Right, so he was all CGI.
He must have been. Yeah, it was his voice, I guess.
Yeah. And I think Rob Zombie's voice was in there somewhere, too.
He was, like at some point towards the end, he was in the Reaver ship yelling.
Yeah.
Or like something like that.
I think it was actually like just like a broadcast. Just, communicator.
Okay, so his voice goes over the thing.
Yeah, I read that before I saw it the second time, but I still didn't catch it. So, real minor stuff. I was expecting there to be some bigger cameos, but Lloyd Kaufman's the most apparent because it's just him. He's in the prison.
I was expecting there to be something way better post credits. That was disappointing.
I mean, it was funny. It was kind of like, well,
they could have done either the Dancing Groot, which I loved, the little potted Dancing Groot, or Howard the Duck. Why do both? Because they're both just for the same reason. It's going to get a laugh and it's cutesy. You got the Collector there. You got a room full of his awesome shit. You've got to be able to do something more than just, hey, there's Howard the Duck.
Yeah, I just think the thing is, it's just kind of like a wink to like Marvel fans or I guess fans of crappy 80s movies.
Yeah. Which, I mean, sure, it made me laugh.
Yeah, because, not everyone in the audience is going to get that. They're like, it's a talking duck, haha. No one's going to say, oh, that's Howard the Duck. Well, some people will.
Marvel's credits, though, are so... Like, I felt I was sitting there for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That 10 minutes was not worth the Howard the Duck cameo.
Yeah, I mean, I had read about it, because I didn't stay for the credits the first time I saw it, because my friends wanted to go. I'm like, whatever. And then I went the second time I should have stayed, and by that time I knew it was Howard the Duck because I had like read it somewhere. And I'm like, oh great, spoiler. But then when I saw it, I'm like, wow, it was funny, but it was incredibly short and didn't really do anything.
Short, yeah.
It was only about like, half the shot is just like the camera panning on the collector, and then it's like 5 seconds of Howard the Duck talking.
I should go back and watch the post credits of Thor 2 because I feel like Benicio del Toro drastically changed his performance.
I don't think so.
No?
I think it was the same.
Yeah?
He was very in the Thor after credit scene. He was very what's the word? He's very
flamboyant.
Really, I thought he was more flamboyant in this. He was definitely more over the top, but I thought it was fitting for his character. Like when he sees the stone, he's like really getting into it.
I like
hamming
that.
It up.
Yeah.
I thought it was nice. I thought it was
like
just showed his character, like how obsessive he is over all these treasures.
I like Del Toro. I like him as an actor.
Yeah, me too.
Fucking.
You've seen The Usual Suspects?
Yeah,
he's
so
great. He's fucking great in that. But we can't get fucking off track.
Give me that fucking cake,
I'm trying to think of something else about this movie that either impressed me or that I thought could be better.
One small thing I would have liked to see is when the boy is first abducted. You show something where he gets his. They all have. All these alien races. They're all speaking English, so they all have this translator somewhere on them.
Right.
I would have liked to see that. Just a small thing, like little boy on a spaceship, aliens talking. He can't understand it. Someone comes and puts something in his ear. Now he can understand everyone because they're all speaking English. Whole time I'm thinking about that. I was like, they all sound like fucking Westerners. What the fuck?
Another thing that I thought that was totally glanced over was just the whole thing with him and his mother and this present that she gives him before she dies. Mm-hmm. She dies of cancer conveniently right as her son is there to give him this gift, and he just holds on to it. I was just thinking, if I was a kid abducted by space bandits and my mom, who I just saw die, gave me this present, that'd be the first thing I'd open for comfort or just to see has something from home. I wouldn't keep it. I mean, the reasoning that he keeps it is because, he's, this is what I thought, he's a loner and he finally opens it when he finds, companionship. And I wouldn't, a quote-unquote family,
Yeah.
But I don't get it.
That's something that's in the movies a lot, where someone dies and then the person gets something from them and they don't open it, either a card, a letter. Yeah. There must be some truth to that, though, if you keep seeing it in all these movies.
But I just wish that he would have went into more about why it was so important to him to keep it. I just felt that would have been a nice scene.
Oh, well, keeping it is one thing. Unopening it.
That's what I meant, opening it. Yeah.
You definitely know why he kept it.
Yeah.
She says in the beginning, open this when I'm gone.
Yeah.
So maybe in his childlike mind, he thinks she won't be gone as long as I don't open it.
Huh, if they would have shown that would have been great. Maybe a deleted scene, I don't know.
But that beginning, though, that had me in tears.
It had you in tears?
Right away.
Honestly, I thought that it was a little, I don't know, it just felt a little, forced to me. All of a sudden they're just, throwing their, I don't know. I just wish that...
Well, they were all there because they knew she was about to die.
I know, it's just...
they were saying their goodbyes. Right.
It was just something about that scene just didn't... I wanted more out of the opening scene than that, I guess. Really? Maybe if it was a little longer, it was a good...
You wanted to prolong the death of his mother?
I don't know, it was just a suggestion, or maybe... I don't know what I would do to fix the opening, other than cut it all together, but I wouldn't want to cut it all together either.
Cut it all together.
No.
How about right after that, where he's walking around that planet listening to his headphones?
That was fucking great.
The title card pops up.
That was the perfect tone setter, because the whole movie was that opening scene sums up the feeling of the entire movie.
Yeah, that made me so happy.
And then me too. I was like, yes, this is the movie that I came to see. And there's a lot of moments that it was like that. Mm-hmm. Like the end when he's up against Ronan, he's distracting him. He's like, "It's a dance off."
You and me, bro, right here.
That was fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah. And you wouldn't think that's something. You think that's something that shouldn't work. That's stupid. But no, It works, and it's awesome.
And that's due to a lot to Chris Pratt. That's just his role. That's Hopefully he doesn't get typecast too bad like that, but I wouldn't mind seeing him in that role over and over again.
Yeah.
One thing about Chris Pratt, though, that I was thinking, the Parks and Rec is still going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they gonna like mention in the show about how he just suddenly is ripped?
They have. Okay, so he starts off chubby in the series, and now since I guess Moneyball, since Zero Dark 30, and now this, he's way in better shape. So one of the characters, they're walking, they're having a conversation, and one of the characters says to him, "So you lost 50 pounds in 2 months by just quitting beer?" And he's like, "How much beer were you drinking?" Right? Probably too much. And that's how they address it.
I haven't seen the new season of Parks and Rec, so
yeah, it must be the new season.
yeah, that's great.
I
don't even mind you ruining that joke for me.
Oh, I should have said spoilers. Damn it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're already well deep into spoilers, so I'm okay.
So Parks and Rec spoilers from here on out. Expect them.
I thought Chris Pratt was easily the best actor in the movie. I mean, Dave Bautista, you could tell that he's not a great actor, but it worked.
This was like his second movie, probably his first with speaking roles.
I mean, because his entire life he's been trained to act really over the top in wrestling, you know. Mm-hmm. And this was like the opposite of that.
I felt for this, he actually impressed me because I didn't expect much from him.
Yeah, I didn't expect much from him, but you can still tell that he's not the best actor in the world.
Oh, no, he's not.
But that actually works to the advantage.
It
almost works to the advantage of the character, though. That's just the way he is. He's just kind of this guy who has this weird stilted speech.
But he often had good timing and good delivery, which I think is
like there was a joke when he's explaining the big plan, and Drax is just like, he says something like, "Oh, what are we doing?" And he's like, "I just told you." He's like, "Oh, I was thinking about something else."
It's like, I like when how about when they're walking around and he's saying, "All right, you guys all now my friends. Even the green whore, she is now my friend." He doesn't like Gamora in the beginning. Let's just say that.
He doesn't. He wants to kill her in the beginning.
Yeah,
basically, because he thinks she's in cahoots with Ronan, who killed his family. Blah blah blah. All right, you know what? I think
there's probably plenty we didn't touch on because there's so much in the movie.
Okay, well, you try to think of something. Then.
Okay. How'd you like John C. Reilly?
I mean, he was there.
Yeah, he was there.
There's nothing like special about him. He did a fine job. He's okay.
I felt he was. I don't know, something about him.
He had some good jokes too.
It really. Oh yeah, he did. But something about him really made me. It endeared the Nova Corps to me way more than Glenn Close or the other guy could.
That's true. And I like how you can tell just at the end when they showed him hugging his family, and they were like, it was like an interracial family.
Ooh,
I know,
awesome.
you can tell.
Brave.
There's like, that's the only reason that scene would be there. Why else would we care? He's in the movie for like a total of like 10 minutes, and all of a sudden it matters that he's seeing his family.
That's true. That's a good point. That's what I thought too when I first saw it.
I'm like, oh, that's nice that it has an interracial family, but you can tell that's just like, that's totally pandering.
Xandar is the progressive planet.
Yeah.
And the Kree are the religious freaks.
There you go. There you go. I can't think of much else to say though.
I liked. How about Karen Gillan?
Yes, I am a huge Doctor Who fan, so I am very familiar with Karen Gillan.
How did you like her in this?
She was fine. I didn't think she was bad. I didn't think she was great.
Even being a psychotic murderer with, blue skin, a bald head, and robot parts, she was damn hot.
You think so? You were turned on by Nebula?
Yeah. Yeah. I was like...
Yes. Karen Gillan by herself is a very attractive woman.
She shaved her head for that?
Yeah, I know.
She didn't need to at all, but she did.
Yeah, that's fucking commitment. And that could have been a really good character. Because they left her alive.
Yeah,
I hope that it's her and Rocket that I really want to see explored more in the next movie. Mm-hmm. Just like their backstory and, learning more about them.
It'd be her relationship with Thanos and especially Gamora. That would be... That would be...
Hi. Anyways, go ahead.
Her relationship with Thanos and Gamora would be more explored.
Yeah.
And the idea that they were both kidnapped as children and enslaved and raised by Thanos to be these warriors, and they both hate him at the same time, but are willing to die for him and kill for him. That's some stuff that needs to be talked about.
There's actually one more thing that I kind of wanted to talk about with you, since We haven't hung out in a bit. You seen the Tusk trailer?
Yes.
For those of you, for you listeners, me and Cole here, I mean, I'm speaking for you once again, but I think it's safe to assume that you and I have been inspired to start podcasting by Kevin Smith's.
Yeah,
podcasting.
Kevin Smith inspires me to want to do a lot.
Yeah, his Smodcast, we're big fans of it. We listen to most of his podcasts. Babylon, Smodcast, I love Get Old with Jay and Silent Bob. And so we're big fans over here, and he's making this new movie called Tusk.
Based on a podcast.
Based on a podcast.
Yeah.
That he did, Smodcast 259, The Walrus and the Carpenter. I know a lot about this shit.
Yeah,
I know more.
You're doing research.
I know. Well, I've listened to the podcast.
Multiple times?
Yeah, I listened to it twice, actually.
Yeah?
And it's this Walrus movie, and the trailer just came out. What did you think about that?
Well, there were a lot of shortcuts, quick cuts. In it.
Right?
No. It's pretty much, had everything I already knew about the movie in it.
Right.
Sets a creepy tone, let's be honest.
Well, yeah,
frightening.
That's true. Michael Parks is going to be great in this movie.
Probably. Except, how'd you like when he was snarling at the dude?
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah, what is it? Walruses don't even snarl.
Well, he's not the walrus.
I know, but you think he'd want to communicate as one.
Right. But the jokes in it I didn't think were very good.
What were the jokes?
Like the joking about Canadian accents,
Oh.
A boot.
Well, no.
That was kind of stupid. And
that wasn't the joke though. The joke was I hate American guys.
Still, it's I don't know. I didn't think that was very funny. And then there was right when for those of you who don't know, this is about a man who's seeking a lodger in his cabin in Canada. Or I think it's a cabin. It's a house. Something like that.
Dwelling.
Yeah, and it's just probably out in the middle of the woods. It didn't really specify, I don't think. It may have, I'm not sure.
I would hope it is.
I would assume it's out in the middle of the woods. Oh, well, isolated at least.
Yeah.
And he says, at least based on the podcast, he said the guy this is based on a real thing, a real ad that was posted. That was a hoax. They said it proved to be a hoax,
yeah.
But that this guy was seeking a lodger, and he would allow them to stay there for free under one condition. He had been constructing a realistic walrus costume, and the one condition was the lodger must wear this walrus costume once a day for 2 hours. And while they're in the costume, they cannot speak, they can only make walrus noises, and he will feed them fish and crabs.
This guy has some kind of affinity for walruses.
Yeah, he was like a scientist or something, and he was stranded on an island for 3 years and his only companion was a walrus that he named Gregory.
It's a good walrus name.
And he just becomes obsessed with walruses because he says, quote unquote, paraphrasing, this is the best friendship I've ever had, human or animal.
First thing I'm thinking about is, what is a walrus doing on an island? If this guy is stranded on an island, then he can't be... As far as I know, walruses are where it's cold.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only thing I know about walruses. That's why they have so much blubber.
Right. But they took it one step further in this movie.
Through their conversation on the podcast, they come up with this plot in which this costume isn't a costume at all. It's a permanent, surgically applied
It is a costume,
construct.
but he sews them into the suit forever.
Human centipede style.
Not like fucking you wear it 2 hours a day. You're in the suit. You're a walrus. And they come up with a bunch of really funny shit. And what was I gonna talk about?
That.
Well, yeah, but I was gonna talk about the trailer. Right, and there's a scene in the trailer where Justin Long is playing the guy who's gonna be in the walrus suit. They never show the walrus suit, which is good advertising, obviously. Mm-hmm. And he gets drugged, and he falls to the floor, mm-hmm. and it looked like such a comedic fall. Like it was trying to be funny, but this at the same time this is a really creepy situation, and I'm like, I don't know. That just made me feel off about the movie. I'm still really excited to see it because I've never seen a Kevin Smith movie in the theaters, so this should be great.
That's what when in Red State the boys are drugged. Mm-hmm. I felt like that was weirdly handled too. Mm-hmm. abrupt. You know, 1 minute they're there, they're fine, and then they're all passed out.
Right. So I'm hoping that there's a lot more horror than there is comedy, just because I want to see that from him.
Yeah.
But I know there's got to be comedy. It's a Kevin Smith movie. There's gonna be some comedy. Was there any like real good comedy in Red State? I don't really remember.
I mean, in the beginning, they're talking about, you know, meeting the chick online to fuck.
Yeah. After that, though, I don't think there's many jokes.
No. The only joke is, maybe when they're first starting to get shot, it's kind of comical when Kevin Pollak gets taken out, or when Stephen Root gets taken out.
Right.
But maybe that's just because they're comedic people.
Right. Well, anyways, yeah. Fucking dog.
Anyway, yeah. That's, I didn't really like Red State.
Mm-hmm.
So my expectations for Tusk are even lower than that.
Right.
The trailer didn't really get me as much as everybody else. Like, I didn't feel like hashtagging I don't want to die in Canada after that.
Really?
Yeah.
There was a hashtag?
Oh, yeah. That.
I thought the hashtag was just
I don't
Walrus
know if
Yes.
I don't know if it trended, but.
Alright.
Yeah. Seemed like a good trailer, but hopefully the movie's better than that. Otherwise, I won't even be a fan of either.
Right. I just feel like he has gone on record saying, I mean, this is what directors do all the time, but saying this is the best movie he's ever made. But
That's what he said about Red State, too.
Yeah, Kevin Smith gets really excited about things really easily. So
I was so pumped for Red State. And that was one of the problems. I was overhyped for it.
So you're keeping your expectations mid-level here.
That's the movie that taught me to do so.
Right.
Because Red State I was angry. I was angry with it because I didn't like it enough. I liked it so, I don't even want to say I hated it, but I kind of did. Like, I didn't enjoy any of it.
See, part of me was really into it, but part of me was thinking, I feel like there should be something more to this movie. Because the style that he did it in is every time he felt like he knew, or the audience would know where the story's going, he would totally switch it to a different direction. And it was just like, the movie you think you're going to see at the beginning is not what you get at the end. And even throughout, it changes a lot.
Yeah.
Like, he introduces these 3 kids, and like within like the first half an hour of the movie, they all die.
Yeah.
And they're like the big focus of the first third of this movie.
Mm-hmm. And it's the way he wrote it, like you said. Like, when he thought it was going a certain way, he would just turn it on its head and flip it. That could have worked if maybe you went back and kind of started adding reasons for...
Yeah, it just seemed, I mean...
It was just a series of events that culminated into nothing. And then John Goodman tries to wrap it all up with a monologue at the end.
Right. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. It feels like there's no, like, real... focus in the movie.
Definitely,
There lacked focus.
There was not, yeah.
And the way he wrote it sounded good, I think, in theory, and I think could be done well.
I've been thinking about doing a movie like that, which I think would work.
Like what?
Okay, so it starts off where these people do something to piss someone off. So they're one by one being killed off. Mm-hmm. So the first one's killed off. It's from his perspective, he's killed, and then it's from another guy's perspective, he's killed.
Oh,
and then by the end, they're all dead, so it's from the hitman's perspective you switch to.
Huh.
And that's as far as I got.
See, I've honestly been thinking about wanting to make like a horror movie. I mean, I didn't have any great ideas. The only thing I came up with is it's real standard horror movie stuff, and I feel like if I like wrote a script for it, I could go back and change it up and make it different. Yeah. What I got so far, it's basically just these. There's a girl, and it opens with her like just walking down the side of a road, like a back road like this.
Okay, classic.
And the reasoning is she's like pissed off at her boyfriend or something like that, and these two guys just roll up and offer her a ride, and they seem like really good dudes. It's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they said, hey, we're going to a party. You want to come? They're like, sure. And so they all go to this party, and they're all there having a good time.
And she's the meal.
No.
Oh, okay.
But one by one, like in the background, this whole time, Like, if they're, in a living room and there's, like, maybe an open doorway that shows, like, a screen door outside and maybe someone's out there smoking a cigarette. Just very, like, subliminally in the background, you'll see that person just get killed. Like, it may be, some people might not even catch it. That's what I want to go for. Like, you don't even, it's going to be so subtle, you don't even know it's there. No noise, no nothing. Just everyone's talking, like, there's a scene going on, but in the background, way in the back, someone gets killed. And, like, every once in a while that'll happen. And then eventually, this girl walks outside, and there's, like, dead people. And then she's like, I really didn't know where to go from there. I just knew that at the end, these two guys, she was going to get away and go down the road again, and the two guys she saw from the beginning were going to pick her up again, like, oh, we got out too, blah blah blah, and then they see the murderer on the side of the road at the end, and the two guys stop and they pick him up.
Oh, I see.
And then they take this, and then that's just the end of the movie. They drive away.
Before that, do you ever focus on the killer and the killings, or is it always in the background?
You focus on it a little bit after that, like true, Friday the 13th, gruesome kill styles.
I like the idea of them taking place in the background, unawares,
But I feel like we could fit both of our ideas together. Maybe not, but it could work. But yeah, I don't know, I was just, like, driving one, I think I was stoned, I don't really remember.
Best ideas come from you when you're driving stoned.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh man, I think this would be pretty cool. But yeah, I have no idea what goes on in between there, and I just only want there to be subtle hints that the two guys that picked her up at the beginning are in on it. I don't want it to be apparent until the end. That's the twist, but it's something that some people would probably see coming, but I would try to think of a way to get around that. Try to make those guys, there's hints, that's the best twist. There's hints that the twist will happen, but they're not apparent at all until you watch it again.
Prestige style.
Yes. That or, Sixth Sense.
Yes.
That's the only time M. Night Shyamalan had, like, pulled off a great twist. All the other ones was just, like, whole movie goes on, then there's the twist out of nowhere, like, there's no clues to it being happening, and I'm like, oh, okay. That also is something that I realized, gets people to watch your movie over and over.
Twist?
Yeah. Well, not
twists and turns.
Not twists and, maybe twists, yes, but just something like that, something that, like, oh, I didn't see that coming, maybe I should watch it again to see. I don't know if, like, the average moviegoer would do that, but who's going to see our fucking movie? I just want to make a movie. I don't care if people see it.
Right. That's what YouTube's for, anyway.
Exactly. I mean, I would be perfectly fine making a movie with just, like, a shitty camera and just a few people. Yeah. But, I mean, with a movie like that, it would have to be a little more grand, and you have to invest some money in it.
You can do it real Evil Dead style.
Real low-budget style.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, that's still quite a bit of money went into that movie, more than we have at least.
Yeah, we gotta go around
just to pull off those effects.
We gotta go around to dentists and get them to invest.
Why dentists?
That's what Sam Raimi did.
Really?
It's a story. Yeah, he went to dentists and got money.
Well then, I would definitely have to learn how to do, like, practical effects and shit though too to get those cool gory kills. Mm-hmm. I mean. If anything, if I wasn't able to pull that off, I would just do all the violence off screen.
I feel like doing it in the background would save a lot.
Yeah, what I was thinking is like during that scene where they're all talking and then you can see through the screen door all the way in the back, girl's out there smoking a cigarette. All you see is just two hands come out and grab her and pull her back.
Now I'm thinking this might be a little comedic.
It could be.
Yeah. Is that what you're okay
that's
with
not
that?
that's not really what I was going for, but there's definitely room for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you could make that a comedy, but you could also make it scary.
Yeah.
Dark comedy.
Yeah. I mean, there's funny movies that are Drag Me to Hell. Kind of freaked me out.
Yeah. Was it a comedy?
It's funny.
I've never
its
seen
funny
it,
parts.
So. Have you ever seen The Seventh Seal?
No.
You know what it is, though?
Nope.
It's a movie from, I think, 1958. It's like a Swedish movie. That, it has quite a bit of a claim to it. It's about, it's in, medieval times, and this crusader, like, all of the people in his group get slaughtered on a beach, and he's the only one left, and he wakes up, and death appears. And he basically tries to barter with him and says, "Well, if you play me in a game of chess and I win, you can let me go." And so that's what happens, and like they keep pausing the game and moving on the story, you know, and every once in a while it would come up, but it's really dark. It's all about like the Black Plague is going on, and there's like just death everywhere, and it's a really somber movie. But there's a couple of characters that are pretty funny, and there's just one scene where this asshole of the group that in the movie just they leave him, and he just like climbs a tree and just, you know, he's gonna wait until morning and when all the animals are gone or whatever. And Death shows up with like a saw, and like he just starts cutting down the tree, and he's like, please don't. No, it's like, it's your time. There's nothing I can do about it.
You can stop sawing.
He's like, nope. And then the tree just goes down. I'm like, that was hilarious. Just anything like that, just, you know.
Well, it would have been better if he had a chainsaw.
Well,
because death transcends time.
That's true, but, you know.
Would have been faster, too.
For the most part, it's a very serious movie.
Yeah.
So, I think a chainsaw would have been a little too over the top for the tone that it was going for.
I wonder, first, when you said that, though, I'm thinking, did they have saws, you know, during the Dark Ages?
Why wouldn't they?
I don't know, because that's technology.
They had to cut down trees to build houses somehow.
They had axes. When do you think the saw was invented?
I don't know.
You
think that they would have saws? It's not hard to make a saw.
You go make a saw.
Well, they have blacksmiths.
I feel like a saw, that's beyond their skill at that time. Like, everything they're doing is
They're
just
not fucking Neanderthals.
Compared to us, they are. And compared to the actual inventors of saws. I want to look this up now. When was the saw invented?
I would believe it. I believe it. I mean, it's only just a wooden handle and a piece of metal attached to it. That's all an axe is.
Do you think an axe and saw are comparable in the way they're made, though? A saw has way more.
I just think
detail.
you're not giving the medieval times enough credit.
You know what? They had saws. That's the rumor. They had saws when they were building pyramids. Fucking giant circular saws that they would cut the blocks with.
Yeah, and that's before medieval times.
They had aliens helping them.
No, they had Apocalypse helping.
Oh, yeah. And never, sir.
Alright. I think it's about time to wrap this here thing up. Let's see how long we've been going for. Almost an hour. Wow, perfect timing. 58 minutes.
Good time.
Right. Okay, so, I mean, I've run out of shit to talk about. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
I mean,
anything else in the news that you want to talk about or mention?
So the Syria-Palestine shit is fucked up, right?
See, I don't follow news.
No.
I try to stay away from all the grim, depressing bullshit in the world as much as possible. I mean, I don't know if that makes me an asshole, but I just don't like to feel depressed by the news. So I like to look up happy news.
Yeah.
Like, there was an article about the guy who created, one of the co-creators of Rocket Raccoon.
Oh,
it's like, he's in the hospital, and he's I don't know if he's
he got hit by a car.
Yeah, he's
back in the day.
He's
brain damaged.
He's brain damaged, and he's paralyzed. And like the big execs at Marvel, I think it might have been before the release date, they went and showed him the movie.
Yeah.
And he was just so like overfilled with joy of seeing his creation on the screen like that. I'm like, that's a real touching story.
Oh shit, that's a good story.
Yeah, that's great. And then there's like, I almost felt like he has like his brother or something runs like a little donation PayPal thing. I'm like, if I had money, I would definitely donate to this, but I feel like an asshole because I don't. I have $9 to my name, so, and I need to eat sometimes.
You know what I wish?
What?
I wish the Avengers were real so they could stop human suffering. And we're out of time. Thank you and good night.
Later.